Let us begin. Hello and welcome to today's stream. I'm Professor Bodhi, aka Mr. Bonny John. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to be working on the final two-stage line before I look into the split lines that I've been making for Xotempo, my conceptual monster tamer that I hope to make real one day in some capacity or another. Hello, Chill Bill, and hello, Kid, and welcome, you guys. I'm very excited to work on... Hello, everybody! Hello, Draco. Knolls, not necessarily. I think I can evolve this in a third stage at some point into a Knoll, but today we will be looking... Well, currently we're looking at some Fakeamon we made. And I will go over what I'll be designing as far as a first and a second stage. It's going to be very, very fun because I honestly really love these designs here. Hello, Thunder. And I thought to myself, like, I really want to bring in these designs as they were. For a first stage, you know, it's just a hyena, nothing crazy, right? You're setting up the storyline. For the second one, I thought, well, I want to do I was originally planning on doing kind of like a Knoll or a were hyena, because there are some cryptids and mythological kind of roots of such a creature in the continent of Africa. And I realized, yeah, it goes against my kind of storytelling, having the... If the creature was going to go more bipedal, it would be during a third stage, right? But I could make it a more monstrous kind of second stage form. I like to imagine a quadrupedal form because, again, like, we don't have a proper one in Pokemon. So to me, that's why I kind of wanted to do this take, you know? But we'll see how we go. Where hyena? I don't know where. I see what you did there. But yeah, I made these designs nearly a year ago. And the cool thing is, Festerical over here, this is a design that did have some sort of basis in, I forget which, I think Sudanese mythology with a hyena trickster. Mightyena is a hyena Pokemon, but, like, let's be real. I don't think anyone attributes a hyena to Mightyena. I look at Mightyena, and it's got very much a full-on canine experience in its design, right? And, you know, one thing that I learned in an early childhood class where I was at one point going to be a teacher. And so this was years ago, and, you know, the teacher was teaching me, and we're thinking about how to kind of think in the mind of a child, right? These are the people that we're going to teach. And they brought up this interesting thing. If I describe a creature that has 4 legs, is furry, and, you know, might be colored brown, what animal would you guys picture? I'll give you guys, like, a second to kind of answer as I pull up some, like, visuals for the kind of stuff that I'm going to design. But yeah, let's hear it, because it's a fun little exercise that kind of opened my mind view a little bit, where I was like, oh yeah, like, there is something called nuance that exists, right? And how it might affect the way we see or understand things and creatures in particular that maybe a child might not have, right? So I'll wait for you guys to kind of come up with your own little answers there. And then I'll go into... This is going to be hard to say. Is it Walanga Kenche? A capybara, a dog, great answers. Already right there, right? 2 different answers. But what I'm trying to get at is, when we look at a hyena, it is a 4-legged creature, furry, but it looks like a dog, yet it doesn't. Doggy, right. So the example that my teacher went with was, well, you know, kids are, you know, when they're a young age, they're learning sounds of animals. You know, cow goes moo, sheep goes ba, dog goes woof. they see a bear, which has a snout like a dog, is on four legs, brown most of the time, right? Furry. They see a giant dog, and they don't understand that it is a dangerous creature, and it's not quite a dog, right? So, same thing I think with hyenas and other kind of creatures. Exactly, it's actually related to cats. In fact, it's, hyenas kind of are in their own kind of section. It's definitely, closer to cats. But they're basically, this is how Wikipedia describes it. Although phylogenetically closer to felines and viverids, hyenas are behaviorally and morphologically similar to canids. So, due to convergent evolution, something we've been talking about, right? For the summer prompt for the Discord, both hyenas and canines are non-arboreal, cursorial hunters that catch prey with their teeth rather than claws. Both eat food quickly and may store it in their callous feet with large, blunt, non-retractable claws. So, the cool thing about, hyena is that they kind of live in their own space. And that's why, I say all of that because, Mightyena is considered a hyena. But to me, I look at a design like Mightyena and I just see a dog. There are subtle nuances in a design that, we could look at that might lean us one way or another, right? And so that's why I went out of my way to specifically kind of give a certain vibe to my hyena, right? Festerical. And I want to see if I can kind of use the designs and everything I learned about that design, right? Because again, it's the subtlety that makes this design, right? If I went too far in one direction, it might have looked like a fox. In another direction, it may have looked like a big cat. In another direction, it might look too dog-like, like Mightyena, right? That's okay, Alex. I hope you feel better, or I'm more energized soon. If not, I hope you rest well. But welcome in. So, so today, it's a matter of playing with the nuance of the hyena, right? So as you can see, there are a number of different kinds of hyena. I think I definitely want to go with a fun zebra pattern. It might be a combination with some speckles. I definitely want to go with the maned variety, kind of like how I did Festerical, right? And I think we'll have a really cool kind of design. So you might be wondering, Bon, why do you have a basket over there? Well, because it's the basis for the first mythology that I'll be working on. And we're going to get into the art early today. I will also show you guys yesterday's the sizing for the scarab. I also reworked the design just a little bit on my own. Not very different from what you guys saw, but it's getting closer to where I think I want it to be. I really love this design. It feels like a very different kind of beetle that we've seen, like as far as Pokemon. So, one way or another, I think this is the size that I'm going for, where it's not super massive, but because of this, it kind of extends the size, to a nice size. Anything else, if I were to make the pincer smaller, I could see myself maybe making it a touch bigger. But this might feel like a little too big. But anyway, so there's that. My opinion looks like a Wolverine and a dog, yes. A Wolverine was something I wanted to put in this game as well. But that feels more like a medieval setting with like honey badgers and whatnot. And they kind of look like, again, if you were to ask a little kid, right? They look like little bears, right? They've got massive mitts like bears do. Their faces have a similar vibe of a bear. Their body plan is similar. So it takes a subtle I keep saying nuisance. Nuance um, to make sure that a Wolverine, if I were to design it, is different than, say, a bear, right? I like the hyena Fakemon curved Oni S teeth. Me too. But that said, I'm gonna finally get into, because I'm clearly a yapper. You guys know this. Why I have, and then maybe I'll move this back into the place. Why I have a basket and a hyena, and that's because the first that we're going to discuss over here is, again, this is very hard to say. Just tuned in Red House Stream. Nice, thank you, JDB. From a bookofcreatures.com, the Isitwalang Kensei, or basket bearer. I'll probably just say basket bearer from now. But I'll give you on screen, I'll just write it so you guys know what the myth is that I am basing this design on. This first stage, right? This first stage, Xotempo. Basically, the basket bearer, because I'm not going to say it, chat. You can try saying it at home. If you're on the bus, don't say it. People will think you're weird. The basket bearer is hardly seen these days, which is all the better as the monster known to the Zulu people is a dedicated man-eater. Somewhat like a hyena in appearance, hence why I'm using it for this first stage. An Isitwalangan Kensei most notable feature is its basket-shaped head, complete with an opening in the top for carrying its prey. So, hello, Dingus! Chat. Dingus and others would know. Festerical and Company is the reason why I have decided to become different. All started with this guy. If you know, you know. So I'll continue with the basket bearer's description here. So there's an opening in the top of its head to store its prey. The basket bearers are powerful and can easily overcome the bravest of men. They wait around villages during feast days, when children carrying freshly butchered meat go from house to house. They hide beside the doorway and quickly stuff their victims into their head, carrying them off to eat. Isitwalang Kenjenses do not eat all of their prey, but eat only the brain. Okay, I wonder why. Huh. I'm trying to see if I could do anything with its design. If I were to... a brain eater. So, anyway. That threw me off. Because why are you carrying a big victim in your brain head, or your head storage thing, and then just eat its brain? A basket bearer will have a favorite rock to smash human heads on and lap up the contents. So I think I will stick around with a long tongue for the next evolution, just to kind of keep that, you know. If the basket bearer is so strong, it is also dim-witted. That's the balancing act. This fact was exploited by one Zulu man who was being carried off in the basket. When the Isitwalang Kengense passed through the bushy terrain, the man reached out of the basket and pulled branches off, stuffing them into the cavity with him. Once he had filled the Isitwalang Kense's head with sufficient branches, he grabbed onto a tree and hauled himself out. The Isitwalang Kense, meanwhile, noticed no difference in weight. Wouldn't it feel more weight as it kept going? Or even hear the... Anyway. By the time it reached the rocks and poured out a clump of branches and twigs, the man was long gone. When the man returned to his village, he made sure to narrate his escape in detail. News of that spread. Soon everyone knew how to fill an Isitwalang Kense's head with branches, and predation dropped drastically. Now, the basket bearer are mere nursery bogies, good only for intimidating children. If you aren't good, the Isitwalang Kense will carry you off, and the children smile to themselves, knowing there's always an easy way out. So, I have an awesome idea. How about a hyena like Cerberus Xotempo? I already have an idea in mind. Cerberus is cool, but that's definitely a 3-stager kind of level. Yes, from the bookofcreatures.com. Hello, Armand. Blue has made it. Don't eat human brain jaw. That's how you get a prion disease. There you go. So tell me about my favorite animal. Let's go. So, again, there are like some illustrations that I've seen, chat, and we're gonna keep it simple. I'm not gonna really make basically it's more or less a situation where when it comes to a hyena, I'm going to say it again, the nuance is what's going to be important. Even creating this little puppy creature, I think it reads more hyena than a regular puppy. And, you know, a pose like this, it doesn't have the best silhouette, but it was part of the storyline I was creating, right? So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to create... I think you don't really even need to know it's going to specifically evolve into a hyena. Especially if it is going to be a basket case, right? Or a basket bearer in this case. So let's begin illustrating. And I found a basket, you know, made by Zulu people. Is the Cerberus idea still on the table? Every single mythology is always on the table. Not for this generation, though. I've already mapped it out, as you guys saw. My 111 designs. Cerberus seems like, again, a third stage evolution. It's definitely a very strong mythological kind of creatures. Because the Icelandic whale monsters. Gotcha. But, yeah, I'll focus on the hyena for today. And, again, so... the main thing is, and I'll probably find a nice illustration of a hyena pup, or would you call it a kit, maybe? They're pretty cute, and so you can see why or how I designed my creature, the baby form, with like the dark spot for the muzzle. There's a little bit of a likeness, right? Like the specific kind of curved ear, the darkened front of the face, the rest of the body being darkened, right? It'll be those subtleties that I'm going to try to bring into the first stage, and we'll see how that goes. I think it'll be good. And this will be, I think, a simple design. The interesting part of this design will definitely be the basket head, right? Oh, Chimera and Hydra siblings? Nice. And I think Echidna is their mother, right? Cub, pup, whelp, evolve out? Gotcha. Alright. So, how do we make this guy... you know what we can do? So, looking at the shape, it's a basket. So I'm going to kind of do these kind of ear shapes, right? Now, they said the head was exposed, so I think I'm going to do the same. I think I'm going to make the head exposed. And what I'll do is, you see, I'm going to make hyena ears, right? But chat, they're not truly ears. Once I color it, you'll see that this is negative space. I'm going to make it handles. So I do think that I kind of want to give him like kind of this like crooked kind of smile that'll be plastered onto the wooden helm, right? Whelp is a funny word because whelp is just like the sound a Looney Tune characters make when they run off a cliff, look at the screen, realize their fate, and then drop. Man, I have so many vivid memories of those kind of shows growing up. We're going to give him a big nose. And again, it's going to have to be like the wooden bit, so I'll add like the little grainy parts. I'll make him, and he's got to be cute. He's a baby. So I'll give him like bigger eye holes. And so there we go. Honestly, yeah, I'm going to just straight up use the the space here. Let's make him kind of fluffy. And I'm going to be doing some 2 stages soon where, you know, it's going to be, I'll need kind of critters that could evolve into a big cat, small cat, and then a dog that can evolve into a big dog, small dog. Except it'll be a tanuki and a bull guy, and then another one that's going to be, I think Mishipeshu and a small cat. Oh, the firefox. So that way, tanuki is like a not dog, and the firefox is a not cat in a way, you know. So I want to find some sort of creature that feels like it could split in that direction. That's a good explanation for the noise of well. Hell yeah. Given as a Cerberus, Chimera, and Hydra Mother, and Typhon the most powerful monster in Greek, is their father. Studied hyenas and mongoose for university since they're involved in scavenging. What did you do? What did you study in university? I'm curious. The closer relative to hyenas is actually meerkat. They're babies. They're like so tiny and small. That's so wild. Chat, what do we think? What do we think about this little guy? Again, I don't think he needs a really crazy design. He's the first stage. He just needs to be kind of cute. They have like strong shoulders, so maybe I can like lift this all the way up. And you know what? Let's kind of like give him a little bit of a belly. I might not make him super fluffy then. Did we cook? And again, very simple, right? Very simple and cute. He's based off a Zulu myth. I'll leave. You know what? I'll even have, just to kind of like nod to the basket, the top portion can kind of like be open like this. What do we think about the ears being? Because yeah, without. Yeah, I think we need it. So I'll do something like this. The basket bear. That's today's theme. Study forensic science. Oh wow. They're kind of scavengers, right? I mean, I know they can hunt, but I think they eat whatever they can, really. And I believe, and that's how I got to, yeah, you know what? I kind of like his head down a little bit. Don't they have something special about their breath to help decompose things? Or ear handles look great? Good, good, good. You know what? I don't want him to look too angry. His predisposition is curiosity, but he's supposed to be based on a terrifying thing. And then I'll make more of... Because again, the idea of Xotempo is the potential, right? That lives in each of these creatures. So just because I don't fulfill like the full scariness, right, so to speak, of the basket hyena, or the basket bear, or the Isid Walang Kenze, doesn't mean that it couldn't be fulfilled in the next form, right? Okay. Looks good to me. We'll go ahead and put some colors down on this guy. What's up, JC? Welcome in, welcome in. Our Discord mod. Oh, speaking of which, JC and one other have delivered their deliverables, their work into the Discord. So you know, we're about a week into August. So as far as like pacing and whatnot goes, you know, maybe if you've brainstormed ideas, now might be a good time to start Um, maybe, executing on your designs for the Discord prompt, which is convergent. And I've been seeing some very fun conversations. We had like a little bit of an influx of people join last night, which overnight, which was cool. So I encourage you guys to always, get together, have discussions. I think there was a section in one of the chats where like people were kind of creating their own little challenges, making their own Ben 10 creations. So if that's something that interests you, go and get active. It's really cool to see. But yeah, you've got 3 weeks. I'll be out of town when the I was gonna say expiration date. That's not the right word. When the challenges come to a close. So, I'll go over and compact everything when I get back. But I made some. Do you guys want to see, or should I save it? I made some adjustments to my design, which was, if you recall, convergent Xotempo. No, I kid. Probopass. It might be Totopass. I like that a lot. Anything new about the stats, natures, and types? Not really. A jack-o'-lantern version would be epic too. I already have a jack-o'-lantern Xotempo. 2 of them. In a way, 2 of them. Blue does know about that stuff too. Forensics and decomposition. Chad, it's been almost like it's been over a year since a lot of you have found me and hung out with me and still rocking with me. Thank you so much. I've been feeling kind of bad these days, I'm not gonna lie. So it feels nice to have like a consistent group of people who like care and show their support, and it goes a long way, I assure you. So I appreciate it. It's cool, right? Like, it started, trying to fix Game Freak stuff. And, like, that was fun and all. Don't get me wrong. I still love so much of what I created. But, like, the amount of time it would take to, like, do that. When I say how fulfilling it is to create this stuff, it blows out all that other stuff that I did. As much as I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. So, being able to just at some point make this a reality, like every day I've got to like work on this stuff as if it's gonna be real, because otherwise what's the point? I don't want to say like what's the point in this negative way, like, oh, it was a waste if nothing happened. But it's like the amount of effort and love and care I'm putting, I guarantee you something's coming out of this one way or another, right? We got to make it happen. The answer is always show us. Long time no see. What's up, Kay? No, I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, hopefully you can just hang out with us and kind of get your mind off of that for the time being. I'm sorry to hear that. Let's see if I can find June prompt Fakemon. Is this it? Whoa! That's a little tease. Let's see. There you go. He's looking pretty good. So you can kind of see where I had it before. I already said yesterday that I won't be doing Deadpool. Hello, Billy Rage. HYENA is more closely related to cats. This fact is always crazy to me. I know, right? Learn things. I really do try to teach you guys as I'm also learning a lot. But yeah, overall these shapes are just feeling a lot stronger. I really balanced out. This was the first pass. So I lifted the eyes up so they were under the brim. The nose shape is a little more aggressive looking. I'm going to have more aggressive kind of patterning. So it'll look like teeth underneath. I was pitched by our boy Fruipy, who's joined our stream. You guys might have seen Fruipy's work, to use like palm fronds that were more sharper. to make him look a little more aggressive, since I think a huge part of any kind of regional or convergent, it's always smart to kind of push a personality. It doesn't have to be like a complete 180, but it shouldn't be the exact same as the original, right? There's some moments where it kind of works, like Diglett and Doug Trio and their regionals, like they're just vibing. That's fine. So I would say, you know, with the first version of Probopass, you can kind of see he's chilling. He's big chilling. He just looks really adorable and cute and almost innocent, right? Wholesome. But this new guy is more like a vengeful kind of like, you know, Firegrass with kind of like a psychic kind of background. So look forward to that. Already the lines are very clean, which is like news to me because I suck at doing lines. I enjoy lining, but I also find myself editing a lot. But okay, back to the design of the basket hyena. I'll continue to kind of get down the colors here. I never liked Probopass. Me neither. That's right. I am absolutely. If you look at the description for the video, you'll see. You know what, Michael? I realized something. I woke up this morning and said, I think I need to be different today. Like a fatherly protector of the wild. Probopass. Not Totopass. I think Totopass is like truly a guardian, but like probably more on the side of Pokemon. They probably dislike humans, and maybe there's an irony to it that he's got like a very humanoid kind of face. Maybe he was like revered for his punishing ways in the past, you know? There's a lot of cool stuff that I could really kind of cook up with the, you know, with the Dex entry, right? Something that I really want to be doing in the next few days, because I can't believe it, I'll be finishing the nearly 111 designs for my intended game very soon. Again, I won't be designing the legendaries. I'll be designing one legendary on this on stream for you, but that's it. And that's just so you guys can kind of get a vibe of what it's going to be like, the look, feel. I have also another cool idea that I will share with you guys, and that is the fact that I want to. The same reason they're just silly, but see, here's the thing: Lotad is adorable. Probopass ugly. But Ludicolo is an interesting one. I want to love Ludicolo so bad. I think, like, for me, Shiftry is, like, because, you know, Shiftry is their opposite, right, personality-wise, and, like, Pokemon has, and Xotempo does, too, have a lot of these kind of lateral, you know, designs that are, like, they come in pairs, right? Like Illumise and Volbeat, obviously Vileplume and Blossom. So it doesn't help that Shiftry just looks so cool to me. And I love silly Pokemon, but like Lotad, great. The second form, he's alright. He kind of creeps me out a little bit. Because this line is based on Kappas. But then the final form evolves into like a very Mexican inspired with the sombrero and even like the maracas bit. And that throws me off. So I think there is a version that they could do at some point in the future where it could be based on a more traditional Kappa-like design, of which like Golda kind of also shares a little bit of that space, kinda, sorta, not really. So yeah, I wanted to like Ludicolo a lot more, but I know a lot of people like him, so that's cool. Again, variety is the spice of life. Probopass is just a misunderstood nose. Um, so let's see over here. Something like Cerberus because of 3 hyenas? That's the second time I got Cerberus for hyenas. Ludicolo is one of the few Pokemon who benefited. Yes, absolutely, right? Probopass looks like he's someone's uncle but doesn't have any relatives. Poor guy. Poor guy, poor Probopass. So, you know, what ends up happening is, like, I'll always find out I'm a hater of, like, very popular Pokemon. Not even, like, all the time and not even to be different. Also, chat, what do we think? Is there anything I can do to, like... I think this Pokemon is going to benefit from a second pass, because as of right now, it's literally just a hyena, pup, whelp, cub, kit, you know? There's not really much going on here. But, that's kind of expected for a first stage, right? In the same way, when I eventually come around to making a kitten and a puppy that will evolve into a tanuki and all that other stuff, it'll also probably be very simple, right? It'll probably be just the kitten, right? Just the dog. I like that he kind of feels very earthen, because he's got a basket on his head, which is like woven. It's got this, of the earth kind of vibe, which I really like. The basket handles making the ears, do we like it? Because it's supposed to be the basket. I think, you know what, I might have to extend the vase or the basket a little more. Let's extend the muzzle out more. Give it a smile and call him HYENA. I think I've seen that name before, because last year when I was making the Fasterical line, I'd looked up how other artists were tackling their hyenas. I feel like I saw that, because it is a great name, though. But I think definitely take it. So, yeah, it'll be up to the paint to kind of make... So there's like a fun thing that happens with these designs for the first stages, where things like the mouth and stuff are made by paint on the wood, you know? And that kind of adds a really cool element for sure. Yeah, I think that was the play. Ears look good. I wonder what you'll do for the hair. Everything will be fully, I think, explored and rendered out in the next form. A bone, give it a bone. You know what could be very interesting to make this exciting? I would probably... Color's a bit too reserved for it, but the overall design, he looks clumsy. Your ears look good. What are you going to do for there? Do the Cubs have spots? I was thinking about that, and I think I could add spots, you know. Left eye's wonky. Yeah, the eyes are going to be wonky. Which is ears and which is the handles. It's definitely a little bit of an optical illusion. Let's go ahead, and what I'll do is... I'm going to continue to add the wooden texture. There could definitely be something in here as far as the story. I read to you guys the story, right? What happened? The human who got caught in the basket hyena's trap, right? Or not even trap, but like the whole collected various branches to increase the weight, right? So that way when he escaped, the hyena didn't realize the difference. So I think I kind of want to do something like that, where colors definitely feel reserved for sure. I do agree. Let's do something like this just to add a little bit of interest. Obstacle illusion. What hyena are you doing? Striped mane spotted. Probably a little bit mixtured. Jeez, I can't speak today. Probably a striped maned. When it laughs, the basket shapes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and... So, yeah, so I'm thinking maybe what I could do is I can probably put like a branch or two in the top. So that way, there's a little bit of interest and it kind of continues the story of the mythology, right? Or the cryptology there. And people can be like, oh, what's going on with that? And there could be like an in-world universe reason why it's like carrying sticks. Could be similar, it could be different. Would be nice for hyena? Absolutely. I'm going to make him just a little bit, you know, something like that. Would this be a moxie or might? So I was thinking about that yesterday, and there's something really interesting that I think everyone was kind of like, oh, say more. I've been playing with the idea. I haven't given it too much thought, but the idea that maybe you could kind of change the type based on your playstyle is very intriguing to me. Though it could be interesting to be like certain creatures come in like their most obvious type. So I think this guy is definitely a moxie kind of guy, right? Hyenas I don't think are known for their strength, but their wit. So I feel like he'd be a moxie for sure. He said different, it's true. How do you feed it? Can his move head up towards the mouth at the opening? So with Xotempo, because their first forms are all like kind of like hiding their face, you don't really feed them in the normal ways. I do picture though, there might be some sort of like spirit food that they kind of like, you know, eat in a magical kind of way, right? You know, not all Pokemon, for example, have mouths, right? But you can imagine you could feed them some way, somehow. Right? They do have a strong bite. This is true, but I think in the savannah and whatnot, like, you'd probably expect them to... And they have this kind of... What's the word? Personality and kind of general vibe of a trickster. You know, even in like Sudanese folklore and many other folklore, they're seen as tricksters. And tricksters don't rely on strength. They rely on their mind, their wit, their, you know, other kind of strengths. So that to me feels like the perfect reasoning to just make this guy Moxie. Doesn't mean he couldn't have a strong bite. Maybe not this one. Maybe his evolution, right? All right, so I think that's a very strong first form. Yes, remember to like the stream. Thank you so much. Andy is always coming in clutch about the likes. Important question. He drowns when it rains or the basket's hole underneath. I don't... I mean, it's interesting. I think maybe it's like a forever basket inside. So each one should have access to two. Maybe one. Maybe more powerful mons are only available in one. Okay, you pour food, throw open the whole head. Yeah, right. That's true. Let's like going up against lions. Exactly, right? And even then, they know better, right? Like they only usually go after like weak old lions, and they'll, it's not like they're not successful every now and then. Like they definitely, have their own strengths, and they play up to it. It could be that, yeah, maybe like certain species like will largely come in various types, like one or two. Um, but that maybe I'm giving the player the ability to, potentially swap up the types. And, I don't know why you would at this current moment. It could be that maybe certain moves are available to certain types, or maybe moves are completely locked in, as I was saying, potentially to the the affinities that they carry, right? So this guy would largely be lithic, right? Without a doubt, he's probably stoic lithic, is the vibe I'm getting. But okay, so here's the first form of the basket hyena. It looks like a little cub for sure. Can this one bite? Not really. I guess none of my first stages can really bite when you think about it. The second guy will have a little bit more of a bite, huh? So let's say this guy is just about done. Oh, you know what I'll do? Oh, wait a second. So in the story, they say that these creatures have a favorite rock that they like to bash in the heads of people to start lapping up their brains. So I could potentially add like rocks into the design, or I can do the story of like having a single kind of tree branch, and maybe it's like a tree branch inside. But this feels a little too gimmicky, right? Maybe it's like a rock and a tree branch, maybe. It would certainly add a little bit more interest to the design, and like certainly offer more in the way of storytelling. So it might be something, maybe it's a bunch of stones to kind of fill in the top, and then I do some sort of tree branch right like the middle. It feels a little too, I'm like, it's like a specific character, right? I like the smile green could do a different color because it read well, but in that I love it. Nice, nice, nice. I mean, yellow is like a color that's going to truly pop out on the face, It could, again, like I've been saying it a few times about the domains and the affinities or whatever I end up calling it. It could be that each of the paint patterns on the bodies differ based on like the varying like classes or affinities they have. It could truly be just the best color to fit the design, pink rocks that looks like brains. Honestly, take care, Ryan. He steals things by putting them in the basket because he didn't have a real head. Red rocks could be very interesting, although it's a little specific, right? Like it's fun. Or pink rocks. That is very fun. It does read like brains and maybe not like... Maybe gems since it's lithic. That's true. Or you know what? Maybe it is open. And it's more like... he might be able to carry held items that like you retrieve. Whether or not I do something like pick up or like at the very least... Because, yeah, there definitely could be something cool in there. It could be rocks. It could be minerals. It would certainly add some interest. Otherwise, another thing I could do is I could have the nose be kind of like a rock that's wedged into the helmet. A while back, I'd been talking about like potentially using various other kind of materials. That just looks kind of goofy. Different materials to you know what, let's just keep it rocks for now. I think rocks is very simple, and it like fills up the space a little bit. It kind of tells the story. I'll just say, you know, it's, oh, you know, that's kind of like a call to rocks for brains, since in the story they say that the basket hyena is kind of an idiot. That's how you know, you trick him so you can survive, you know. So maybe I'll leave it like that. That certainly feels a little more interesting. It looks like brains, rock for brains. It's dim-witted, you know. I want to ask if you could sprite it, if I could. Oh yeah, please go for it. I would love that. I would love to see that. All right, we'll do like this. Let me hit a flip. It's not a bad flip. It's okay. I could definitely see. You know what? Yeah, maybe it's more of this rounded shape. It's supposed to be a hyena first and foremost. Or, you know, what if I did something where I could shape its head like this? So it's not, so it's like kind of basket-like, but also still hyena-shaped, right? Baskets, depending on the environment, the fruits in the city is always robbing the market. That could be a cool thing, right? Where the design changes because the environment's different, and like different people might make different baskets. People might read the handles as actual ears. Could there be something that shows? Yes, absolutely. It's probably something as simple as this, where maybe it's like, probably just means, actually, you know what? I don't like, I'll just keep it like that. I'll probably always crane his head down, and that way, yeah, you know what? Let's do something. How do I... I guess maybe what I do instead, maybe I just make this part entirely bigger, and then I do something like this. I'm trying to get the perfect... Could also be ashes. Baloney! Can you try the eyes upside down? Why upside down? Oh, maybe also I bring the eyes down, because that might be better. Because the hyena's eyes are kind of widely set apart. Make it smile? It could be a smile. making the wooden patterns, like, it'll be far better in like a 3D model. So something I have been thinking about is how do I maybe make maybe I make it where like each of the Xotempo, the first stages, it's not like their heads are fully encased. Maybe it's more like um maybe it's more like a domino mask, kind of like Robin, right, from Batman, or any number of superheroes. Heine's more intelligent than how the Lion King. Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. Make it smile. I mean, that baby is smiling. It could just really be the personality just needs to be pushed. Like a more deeper, more wily kind of expression, huh? Ooh, okay, something's happening there. Ooh, that's got personality. That's got personality. There you go. And then what I'll do, Zingus is right. How do you tell the audience that the ears are the handles? If I bring it down like this, like he's kind of hunting, then you have the shoulder blades come here, and now the handles are, you know. There you go. Sometimes it's just a little bit of a difference, right? Evil smile, like him. I'm him from Powerpuff. Gaggle of these guys raised in a small village. To make it look like it's smiling with his eyes, but I can't explain how they would look like. Like that man's cooking. He looks like he steals your fruit snacks. Exactly, in kindergarten, huh? Give him a little pig nose. Alright, cool. Let's just say for now this is kind of what feels right. He feels more like a hyena too. The moment I split the eyes up a little bit. Alright, cool. Simple. And he's even got the rocks. Maybe it can be a single kind of leaf, maybe, you know? Oh, you know what it is, chat? I got it. I got it. He finds these things on the ground to plug up his head so they don't... so that, like, the elements don't fill up his... the cavity of the vase. So he finds rocks and sticks, a nod to, you know, people using sticks to get out, and that it breaks its victims' heads on rocks. How perfect is that, story-wise? Let's go. So cute. The added Schmidlaps. Oh, I know it's Schmidlaps now. Too hot. Too hot. All right. 7:34. A good Xotempo trainer would simply give him a hat. This is true. Let's go ahead, everyone. If you're drawing with me, you can stretch. We'll just stretch together. And then I'll jump into working on the evolved form. There's two... I have like two potential inspirations. One more is like a sub-inspiration because there's really not much I can take away from it, but it's like an Indian concept. Yeah, let me know how your day is going, if you've been drawing with me, what you think about the design. You could tell me about feedback for types and stuff. Any other kind of feedback? So, in the vein of just kind of keeping on track, lithic, typic, definitely moxie. Got a lot of heart. So the symbol for moxie was like a heart. You're courageous. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. In Xotempo 2, a Jaguar Mon. I'm going to have something called a Mishu Peshu if you want to look that up. It's, I think, not a Jaguar, but a Panther. But, you know, colloquially, they're kind of seen as similar. But now, I would love to evolve Moxie into Mania. Because I do love the vibes of Festerical, and I kind of want to bring that back. So it'll be Mania. Again, I don't love the word Mania. It was a circular kind of symbol to denote spiraling into like madness in a way. I like the natures we have so far. I'm a little bit iffy about the name Typic, but I understand. Yeah, here's the thing. I like all of that, but I have something potentially crazy. And I posted it in the Xotempo channel a long time ago. But I'll bring it up here on my screen. There is a time... In fact, I'll put it on the screen so you guys can like read it with me. So let me go ahead and... I played around with a version where it's like a little more closer like to... My beard came out good today. Kind of like an elemental system without, you know, actually leaning into it. Funny enough, Stoic is right here in this version. So, reading Rainbow. So, I'm just going to like read to you guys how I wrote this out. So, types, or in this case, natures or affinity. The major classifications for, and I have Xotempo here, this is the older version. For Xotempo, they help narrow down the visual design characterizations. Hello, Eden, welcome in. So, iconic. This would be basically like the like legendaries. Formally, they don't really represent an element, but it would be something like sound or wind in this world, because if tempo and the music element and rhythm, it's also a nod in Hinduism, Om, you know, that chant, which is that symbol you see for Hinduism, is the first breath that was ever taken in universe, and that rhythm is like what lives in everybody. So I like that being the iconic. It's not that it was a sound or wind type, but anyway. Mystic would be psychic, astral, fairy, treated as this game's dragon. Stoic is normal, fighting, bug, dragon, whatever. Creatures that represent the status quo. Thermic is fire and electricity. Hydric is water and ice. Dendric is grass, nature, ground. Lithic is steel, rock, crystal. And then cryptic is ghost, undead, poison, or object mon. Iconic is the natural, kinda? What do you mean? Iconic would be like the mythic that I have now, like the mythic class. It would be iconic in this version, because the gods are icons, right? That's what that meaning was in the original sense. You're praying to an icon, a vision of a god, right? So I'll read to you like the way I wrote out the kind of story. The first element, domain, or type to reach the world was that of wind. The divine breath carried on the wind imbued the land with energy. Nothing in this world could be moved without flow. Thus the primordial first breath from the god of all things was a musical note that carried the tempo of creation. Wind as a resource is a gift. Every breath that both human, animal, and Xotempo are given is a gift of the divine, hence why it is the rarest of all elements, and used only by the iconic level Xotempo, the ones above all. I also like the shift because of the tempo of its name. All the other elements have a two-syllable structure: stoic, thermic, hydric. However, iconic. Same structure as Xotempo. Thus, they are representative of a legendary status even on a phonic level. The elements that all soon follow on the wind of the divine began to nurture themselves in various domains. Not calling them domains anymore, as you know. It would make sense that Xotempo were developed within courts. I like courts too, actually. Like if you're from the lithic court, the cryptic court, that let them borrow the energy of the divine. Of the stoic court, Xotempo are strong and resilient. They prove that they need no flair to flourish. Their strength is in their hardy nature. Of the thermic domain, or court, Xotempo are able to call upon powers of fire and electricity. Of the hydric court, Xotempo are able to utilize powers of water and ice. Of the dendric court, Xotempo are able to utilize flora themselves, calling upon the aid of grass, trees, soil, and the earth. You guys can't see this here. I'll go back to here. Of the lithic court, Xotempo are made of the earth itself. They resemble rock, steel, and even crystal. Of the mystic court, Xotempo manipulate frequency of reality itself. This powerful court is blessed by the iconic. Finally, the cryptic court. These Xotempo are anomalies, spirits that live to the beat of their own drums. So, I feel like that's maybe a little more easier to understand than the current courts that I have now. Ice cold instead of thermic. How do you mean? Ice cold instead of thermic? No, thermodynamics is like heat transfer and whatnot. Electricity is, I like this. It solves up the problem where most mons were runic. Here's the thing. A lot of mons aren't runic, though. In fact, I felt like there were less and less runic kind of mons, I think what I'll do is... maybe I'll do a stream where I kind of like break down all the... I could split up this version, which is a little more straightforward in how people would know. With hydric, you hear hydro, you can understand water. Lithic, the Paleolithic era. Mystic sounds mystical and, psychic-like. Thermic, if heat and whatnot, that makes a little more visual sense. Like I can break down the colors over here and it makes sense. So thermic is like an energy power. Well, in that way it's fire and electricity, which are energy and power, right? Got it? Nice. So yeah, I feel like this is probably easier for people to understand because it would be more like a Yu-Gi-Oh attribute system, right? Where we know there are water creatures in Yu-Gi-Oh. Oh, excuse me. But we know they're not weak to a fire type creature, right? That's my only fear in a Pokemon style kind of game, But you guys let me know what you think, if that is an interesting concept or idea for you, or if you prefer the current court system. Crap, when I hear court system, now I'm thinking laws and stuff. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna go into let's see. I'm going to find information about the next inspiration. I like it. You like this one versus the original one with runic, all that kind of stuff. Very easy to understand. That's good. That is the most important thing, right? For sure, that's the most interesting, or not interesting, but important thing. I do like the current classification system. Don't get me wrong. Which is Gothic, Runic, Stoic, Cryptic, and Lithic. These are also pretty straightforward as well, I think. So, the thing is, stoic, I guess, it's not super different from this one. This is more, I feel like this fits the current setup because it's a less of a focus of like the elements and more truly a better, I think, generalized descriptor. So the creatures feel more like like a creature, right? Rather than someone looking and be like, oh, it's a thermic creature, it's a fire creature. I was like, it's not really, Hangover burger? What is a hangover burger? So yeah, you guys can continue to tell me which one you liked better, but yeah, I'm gonna teach you guys about something called the crocota and the were-hyena. So the crocota is a mythical dog wolf of India or Ethiopia linked to a hyena, is said to be a deadly enemy of men and dogs. Okay? So to me, it's not like there's a lot I can do with this. At the very least, right? There is the were-hyena, a neologism coined an analogy to werewolf for therianthropy involving hyenas, common in the folklore of Arabian Peninsula, the Levant, North Africa, Horn of Africa, and Near East. Ooh, that does sound good. So the idea is with the were-hyena, it's not like I could truly make it even more like the current types. I do too. I feel like it's less descriptive in a way where people would liken it to Pokemon, because again, if I do the thermic or I do the hydric, people might still think like, oh, well, the water one should be weaker to the fire one. Whereas if I say like, oh, it's runic, it's like, oh, it's part of the elements, right? Runic is like a catch-all for all the elements. Lithic is a catch-all for all the earthen kind of stuff, Anyway, in Ethiopia, it's traditionally believed that every blacksmith whose trade is hereditary is really a wizard or witch with the power to change into a hyena. These blacksmith were-hyenas are believed to rob graves at night. Wow, interesting. Let's see. Otherwise, in Somalia, it's traditionally believed that Corius Maris, one who rubs himself with a stick, was a man who could transform himself into a hyena man by rubbing himself with a magical stick at nightfall. In the Kanuri language, were-hyena is referred to as Burtungin, which translates into I change myself into a hyena. Looks-wise, there's really not all that much. So, I wonder, chat, maybe I do go with the Crocota, which was like, again, an Indian kind of mythology take on the hyena. Maybe I do go that route. So I'll show you, here's one Crocota, right? There you go. He's got a little bit of a mane going. This one's got like some weird tail, a human face for some reason. Here's another image. This one's from a medieval bestiary. So it's got a little bit of a mane, right? And to be honest, again, I can just use these kind of like a loose representation or inspiration. Here's the bestiary one. Bestiary. Okay, so again, it's not like it's anything special, but it'll be my take on a hyena at the very least. So this is according to Wikipedia. The Crocota or Korokota, Crocuta, Lucrota is a mythical dog wolf of India or Ethiopia linked to the hyena and said to be a deadly enemy of men and dogs. Top one is just a manicore, maybe, right? Strabo, who uses the word crocutas, described the beast as a mixed progeny of a wolf and a dog. When crossed with this race of animals, the Ethiopian lioness gives birth to the crocota that mimics the voices of men, probably the laughing, right, of a person. It is an unbroken ridge of bone in each jaw, forming a continuous tooth without any gum. Interesting. An unbroken ridge of bone in each jaw. What does that mean to you guys? Because I could use that for the look feel. It is an unbroken ridge of bone, forming a continuous tooth without any gum. Is it just one? Huh. Also writes, the swiftest of all beasts, the size of an ass with the stag's haunches, a lion's neck, tail and breast, badgers. Okay, this is what we're going to use for the crocota. Perfect. Animals vulgarly of amazing strength imitate the human voice to call men at night by name, devour those who approach it. Brave as a lion, swift as a horse, strong as a bull, cannot be overcome by any weapon of steel. Specifically links the hyena, mentions the fabled ability of mimic human speech. Indian hyena with the native skull crocota speaks in a manner so human, goes to houses and call that person who he knows he can easily vanquish. The historian Cassius Dio credits the later Emperor Septimius Severus with bringing the crocota to Rome, saying this Indian species was then introduced into Rome for the first time. So far as I'm aware, it has the color of a lioness and tiger combined, so I could go like yellow, orange. General appearance of animals, also a dog and a fox, curiously blended. Okay. Swift animal born in India, size of an ass, blah, 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 blah. Similar to the hyena. Hyenas do have very powerful teeth and jaws, can digest a wide range of food, are known to dig up human bodies for food, and can make unnervingly human-like vocalizations such as their famous laugh. Local folklore about hyenas often give them powers such as gender switching. Males and females are difficult to distinguish, shape-shifting, and human speech. Cool. So I guess I will do that. Either type works for me. Thinking critically, it's probably better that we had the original natures, of course, just to streamline things. Yeah, and that's, I think, going back to that word, right? Streamline. So, by the way, medieval Bastarians described hyenas as having the power to freely change their sex. And here's the thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be way off base here. There's something to do with male and female hyenas. Like, something crazy like the males can be impregnated or something, or like the female. Oh, I think it's the female grows a penis to start the mating process or something. So maybe that's yet another thing. But okay, let's see here. This is the description I'm going to use. It has a stag's haunches. What is this? What is a haunch? Haunches. A buttock and thigh. Okay, so the stag's buttocks and thigh. Okay, so I'm going to grab a picture of this. So there's a stag. Alright. Okay, this is going to be a lot more interesting than a were hyena. I might make the were hyena the third form of this in like a future game. A lion's neck, tail and breast. Badger's head. Okay, so let's get a badger's head. I'll still make it more hyena-like, to be honest. It just looks like one. I've heard that too. Pseudo. Yeah, it's called a pseudo penis. Yeah. I could use the badger's... oh, this poor guy got taxidermied. I'll use another picture then. Maybe what I'll do is I'll give him like this badger coloration for the face. You know what? Let's build out the creature right here. So he's going to have like a badger's head. They did say he had a lion's neck. Alright, lion's neck. So I might give him a little bit of a mane. Not a big one. Oh, here's a good one, for example. This, by the way, is called photo bashing. If you guys have ever heard that term, now you know what it means. It's like taking images and kind of like putting them together so as to kind of like create like a visual, you know, like collaging essentially. Okay, so here we have the lion's body and kind of like a neck. He could have like a stronger forepaws, you know. You do know, No, I don't, Alex. Please say it ain't so. Please. I can't get demonetized, not again. I just kid, I've never been demonetized. Could you imagine? It'd be a sad day. Subminus, yeah, exactly, they do. So I'll probably like lean again. I think Festerical is such a, like, I love that design so much. It's really different from a lot of the other kind of designs I did. So I want to keep that spirit, you know? A figurative stick in the design, evolving from the stick from the first, right? Maybe have Reshiram's. Yo, why did they do that? Like how could they have truly sit there? I was like, yep, this is good. A mouth opening right back to the ear. So I'm gonna give this guy a crazy big mouth. Ridges of bone in place of rows of teeth. I don't know what that means. I'm gonna get cloven hooves. What does that mean? Cloven hooves. Okay, like a deer kind of thing. So so now we have our Franken kind of design. So this is the creature with obvious lean into the hyena. The bear tick crotch. Dude, the bear tick crotch is also insane, and like it's even worse. It is even worse in, yeah, look at Mighty Hyena. Mighty Hyena does not look like a hyena whatsoever. I'm sorry. Like, he's just like a generic dog wolf thing, respectfully. Let's see. Clover's a pretty big mouth. Bear tick crotch did not. I was gonna say, yeah, it just did not translate as well. Adding deer feet to the deer, genius. Listen, the things I do on this channel has been never seen before. Alright, this is brand new territory. That's a doubt. Let me put that down. So, chat, do we have another word that starts with M that could replace mania that's also 5 letters? So I have might, magic, mania, and moxie. I could keep it might, moxie, and mania, and then have the 4th one be its own thing, which would make sense. So it doesn't necessarily have to be with an M, because mania lives on its own spectrum, right? If it's like might, magic, moxie are like the major 3, and then mania is like, yeah, wouldn't it make sense for mania to follow in line because it's mentally unstable, right? Or like not necessarily mentally unstable, but it's like hard to track, right? If there is a 5-letter word for that starts with an M, great. If not, I'd be down for something that kind of means like spiraling out of control, and therefore that's why it's super effective against magic, because, you know, magic is like you're using your mind, and mania is like overpowering the mind, right? If the null might be a possible future 3rd stage, how about making the D&D Demon Lord patron deity of nulls Yinogu? I've personally never heard of Yinogu, so I probably wouldn't do it, even if he wasn't. I would rather just base it on a were hyena, or even a null, but probably the were hyena, because that feels more like I'll go always more ghost. I will always more so go for real world mythology and cultures that probably inspired like a lot of these D&D things, right? Tarask, for example. So I'd rather do that than say someone like Yinogu. But did my previous comment get lost? What was that? Let's go back. Bon, have you seen Pokemon WTF Weird Fun Types chart? They've replaced all the new ones with time. No, can you... What is that? What is Pokemon WTF? I would definitely love to look at that and see if there's anything I can get from there. Time and Void. Like, so, for example, Time would be under Cryptic. Void would also probably be under Cryptic. Again, like, there's a lot of things where, like, to me, Void could easily be in Dark. Time could be... Time, even as a Pokemon type, just doesn't make sense. That's more of, like, this super abstract concept that is defined in its own way, right? Obviously, I'm not trying to, stop anybody's having fun, but I kind of is it wrong if I use Festerical as a jumping point, because it is pretty damn good design. You know what? I've used other designs. I love this guy. I'm bringing him back. Let's go ahead. So, okay, the haunches of a deer. So I'll thick him out just a little bit. Let's see here. I might just give him a shorter tail. It's the haunches of a deer. And you know what? That could be really cool that he has the hooves, And I'll give him like the little spiky kind of thing here. It's been enough time anyway, so I can like update this design and like really get it to like the modern standards, Xenomorph? What about the Xenomorph? They're all pretty cool, and I think you'd have some fun ideas looking at them. There's also Love, Tech, and Gem. Love, Tech, Tech I can legitimately see, but like that would have to be truly like a regional defining thing that gets added in, where it's like straight up like they create a whole bunch of mons. That would essentially be like the Paradox Pokemon, right? Oh, maybe the new Mania word could start with W? Wario. You're saying the Wario of types. I'm not against that. I'm not against that, but that is hilarious. The Wario and Waluigi strike again, even when you never expected them to. My God. I'm a Wario. I'm gonna win. Oh my God. All right, let's make this guy. I did like that I made him super thin and like hollowed out. It's W. Oh, W. Yeah, I'm poking fun, but they had fun with it. That's Knight and Dexter. I'm out. Yeah, the other ones are okay. Even Gem was doing a lot. Knight type. Okay, what are like some of the funnier kind of things then? Like, or not funnier, like the more unique interesting type triangles, things like that. I may want to lift the head up so the pose isn't the exact same though. Ooh, I like it like this too. Toy is a type? Oh my God. Snapcube reference. What is Snapcube? I know Connects. Is that the same thing, y'all? It has like a lion's neck, so I kind of want to give it a little bit of this kind of mane, and I like the zebra stripes, so I want to keep that for sure. I'll keep it down here, I'll keep it in the front, and I'll keep it in the back like this. See, so I feel like this guy is definitely more like HYENA. I mean, more HYENA than HYENA. Kind of looks like his tail got ripped off, which is kind of metal. Sick. You like it? Pokemon W2S basically is an artist putting new Pokemon forms for fun and then putting them in the game. Gotcha. So who did the designs? Who did the designs for it? Was it like a community? Was it a singular artist and then the guy was like, make this game? You know what? I won't give him like the proper mane, but it'll probably be at least a little more fluffy out in the front. So it was colored like kind of goldish orange, so I'll probably go... Oh yeah, that looks sick. So maybe, you know what? It goes kind of toe-to-toe with the other... It probably goes toe-to-toe with the other... Like the intended Panther design that I'll be doing. The intended Bull Guy. All the sprites in the game looks awesome. Makes me a little jealous. Hey, if it's a community thing, see if you could join up. You know, those are some of the best ways to like get involved with those kind of things. You know, right? You know, you never know what kind of people you meet and what they can kind of teach you and whatnot. What you can teach them could be really cool. Honestly, man, I would like to do black and gray, but that is really... You know what? Maybe I'll just have like gray in the front. You know? I did like the way that... Maybe it's like... Yeah, I liked how I did that before. Not trying to rip on it, but the design looks like it could be a Mega Obstagoon design, which is also sick. Mega Obstagoon. I know Obstagoon. I don't really see that as a rip. But, yeah, look, no matter what it is, I think for people who are in any kind of community, this is for anyone in chat, right? Like, you don't have to be a spriter or anything else. Even if you're into writing or even programming and, you know, you want to make a game or something, there's obviously a time and place to be paid, for sure. Like, never let anyone take your work for free. You know, if you are really good at something, you should be charging and make money from it. There was a conversation I recently not really participated in, but kind of like saw at a distance with someone who, you know, I don't want to get into specifics, but like I was really a little annoyed with the way they were kind of like talking about the use of AI and how it could help them with certain projects, because they, you know, weren't able to do every part of a project, right? That's literally, for many people, impossible, right? Case in point, like, that's why a lot of the most coolest stuff on Earth gets put together by people who, you know, end up meeting people and, ooh, I kind of like this, like a reverse, you know. You basically, you know, if someone's good at writing stories and another person's good at designing characters and another person is good at this or that, like that's how you kind of get the Apples of the world and all these kind of other creations that people like come together and like make, you know. Try and involve yourself in those kind of community, like hell, even the Discord, right? Who knows what kind of people you'll meet in the Discord, and like when you find out like, oh, you're into this too, I'm trying this, I'm like trying to learn how to do this, that, or the other. There's a lot of cool stuff there. So first stage, Devil Monkey Cryptid, yeah, probably that would definitely be the line for sure. Can't find the chart, but here's WTF's types: Knight, Dexterity, Beast, Nature, Tech, Toy, Food. Where's Alex? Food, Chimera, Cosmic, Void. To me, that seems very similar, but I can see the differences. Magic, Dream, Light, Sound, Time. Hoodlum, Calum. Hoodlum, Calum. Did a playthrough with the type chart linked in the description. Gotcha. I'm not sure who that is, but I'm sure they're fun. I gotta like look into some of these people who do like the Let's Plays and stuff, but you know, I guess I'm kind of content in my space where I'm like with artists, you know. Um, they said hedge of a badger, so maybe I could do kind of like that white oh, so that's where the obstagoon thing is. That is kind of sick though. Ooh, could you imagine all black and white? How are you feeling about cryptids in this project? There's plenty of cryptids. So, how do you mean? In what capacity exactly do you mean? So far, what's your favorite nature? I mean, to be honest, like I haven't properly explored it, right? So to me, um, I think it's definitely something that is still too early for me to say. I like the idea of making like, the mythic is like something that like exists beyond all the types. It kind of goes back to my burst evolution kind of idea way back where when you did go burst evolution, you would gain like a burst type and you kind of like lose your other types. Which again, I was doing all this before like, what is it, stellar type or whatever. And I kind of like, yeah, like in a way tapping into the god's powers because it's such a limited nature that when you're bonded, you're tapping into something so primordial. I think that's really sick. So I like that I created something that gets to be so uber rare in its truest self, but that it kind of shows you that you have the capacity to reach that just because you have the ability to care for your best friends, your Xotempo. I think there's a beautiful message there. If I don't go that route, and regardless, I wouldn't choose, mythic as my favorite court or nature. It might be something like, I mean, runic is like the cool catch-all, like all elemental types, right? So I think that's cool, but actually I think my favorite is probably cryptic. Just because those are the ones that like you really can't explain and they feel the most mysterious. I think that's pretty cool. The Kishi, I did see the Kishi in my research as well. An Angolan legend about an attractive man who has a hyena face on the back of his head. I just think it's neat. Yeah, I did come across that one for sure in my research. It definitely sounds really cool, but yeah, a little too hard to actually incorporate. Have we done a Cape Lobo on this website? It looks like a humanoid. I have not, but I would love to do like an anteater at some point. I think we have one in Pokemon, and I hate its design, Heatmore. I don't like it whatsoever. Cryptic has a lot of my faves. Yeah, and I think because like at the end of the day, like let's be honest, like I'm treating the Xotempo as it were as cryptids, right? The Xotempo themselves are creatures that spoiler alert, as we know, the main starting town is like afraid of. They view them as cryptids and whatnot, they view them as things to be afraid of. So it kind of feels like the definitive representation of what Xotempo are, I also think that like the gothic type will have some really cool ones. But I do think there's a good number, and this is what's really cool, because I'm not basing my designs on a type, right? Every tamer does that, one way or another. The designs respectfully all look like Pokemon. I truly feel like my creatures look exactly as they're meant to be, like mythical creatures, right? Creatures that exist in a world. And it's not like, all right, we've seen like a, I don't know, a lizard on fire. Therefore, I can't make that as the starter. I'll make my starter a bull on fire. And you kind of go down the list, right? And I love fan-made regions. Like, I love watching those videos like crack, because it's a way for us to like enjoy the fandom, without having to wait for Game Freak, right? But like it ends up kind of being formulaic, and admittedly, I have like a lot of formulaic stuff as well here, because you just can't really run away from certain things in this kind of genre, right? So, to me, I briefly for a moment, and which is why I created, that secondary type sheet where I had hydric and thermic, and I like still try to like have the same number of overall natures and whatnot, or whatever I end up calling it. It may not be natures because Pokemon has natures as well, so again, I gotta use like terminology that hasn't been claimed. But the Fox Xotempo will be based on, well, funny enough, the Finnish Fire Fox. So it won't be like a Kyuubi Ninetales, but a simple Finnic fox. It'll be the cute, just like the Tanuki will be the cute dog, the fox will be the cute cat, and then the opposing evolution will be a much more stronger like cat or wolf dog type of thing. So in the case of the cat, it would be the Mishipeshu, and then for the case of the dog, it would be the Bulgay. I would have suggested Chupacabra, but it's too generic, and I don't think you would have want. Here's the thing: I do think Chupacabra has a place. There's like different ways to do it, right? There's like this alienated humanoid kind of version, and then there's a dog-like version. So, I definitely don't think it's off the table, right? But the main thing is, right, I have to fit these creatures with the right mythology. That's like the most important thing to me every time, and if it's not, then it's not something I want to do, because the vibe has to be correct, Let's start kind of getting the face right. I like this bright pink nose here. I like the snout. He's gonna have like these really bulbous, extended kind of eyes. Or not eyes, but like brows, like ridges essentially. Recently found out Chupacabra comes from Puerto Rican mythos, not Mexican. I think I did see that as well. I like the idea of this thing looking like a deer with its hooves. I can imagine it tricking people. In fact, I kind of want to make it more like a maned wolf. If you guys have seen a maned wolf, it's like this really tall looking wolf deer type of thing. And I think combining that with a hyena, with a this and that, I think that's pretty cool. Like, I think it'll make it kind of feel like a little unsettling, I don't know if I want to go with red for the final eyes. You gotta admit, red just makes it look a lot more dangerous. Did I have lips in the original version? Oh yeah, okay. I kind of like that. I forgot how many chimeras. There's like a decent number of mixtures, like chimeras. There will be... Dang, I don't want to say anything beyond, but I guess that kind of gives something. But there's a decent number. Like this is a chimera in itself, right? I think again, I've said it before. My favorite Pokemon are creatures that they more or less feel like original creatures because they don't look like any one thing. So that's why like a lot of the cryptids that are like very chimera like end up becoming like some of my favorites, Take care, JC. Have a good one, brother. You never have too many, yeah. Again, like putting in the King Kong, Cthulhu, and Godzilla is why I had to pretty much nerf a lot of the 3 stages. Because I don't want to waste awesomely powerful 3 stages when you have like heavy hitters like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not worth it to kind of blow the load. So I was like, I'm just going to save them for a future game. A lot of these 3 stages, How about a Dobar Chew? Just found the Masaki Kitsune, powerful 9-tailed Kitsune mixed with Eastern Dragon. No, just because, like I said, I already have a plan to have one cute kind of cat-like thing. And, like, I'm doing the Firefox as a analogy to the Tanuki. So there's one cool dog, one cool cat, one cute dog, one cute. Not to mention, I stay away from yokai, as I've said before, because Pokemon has plenty of yokai, and Pokemon has already a Kitsune. And granted, this Kitsune you're telling me about is like slightly different, but it would still harken Ninetales as we know it. I would rather kind of Ninetales of Firefox, but the finished Firefox is its own kind of take. So I get to put my own spin on it, and that to me is much more interesting than doing yet another Firefox, which we've seen in even Digimon has their own Firefox based on the Kitsune, and it'll be something I do down the line, but probably way down the line. Wish we had more enigmatic mons instead of Flamigo. But here's the thing, we need to have the Flamigos of the world as well. Could it have been better executed? Absolutely. 100,000,000%. But there can be, there will be. I think what it is once they continuously, and I get it, I'm not blaming them at all, but get to this point where it's like we're basing it off of this region. They're going to do their best to kind of respect the cultures and really do the research and find, all the stuff, as far as research and cultural heritage and designs, and it really kind of leans into there. So, like, there isn't as much room for more mixture kind of things. Yeah, Nidoking or Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan is like vaguely marsupial, right? It is a kangaroo to some degree with a pouch and whatnot, but it's got like very clearly, far more rougher kind of features. It's thick-bodied. It's, so I want more activities and one. Yeah, and look, funny enough, I always say about I don't really like how this guy's coming out. I'm gonna redraw him. The idea is Octillery. It does make sense because it's not the creature that evolves, it is the concept that evolves, right? It's the water gun into a water cannon. And that's what Xotempo is all about, right? There's a lot of like animals that don't necessarily line up per se. Um, and to me, that's what makes Xotempo interesting, right? Like, you might not really know what you're gonna get. There are like obvious jumps, right? Like, I have like this Ganges river blue eel that evolves into a Ganges dolphin. You know, they're both aquatic creatures. That makes sense. Um, but the overall through line still tracks, right? That was like a lot of my early design principle. Octilius Evo was about to be a nuke, an enemy AC 130. You know what? Yeah, in that generation, we had even Mantine and Remoraid, which kind of gave me like a plane with like machine guns underneath, you know, kind of vibe. All right, let's see if we can get this design down. Where do we stand with the colors, chat? Do you guys like? I currently don't love the way the colors are. I'm not gonna lie. It feels a little too normal, you know. But like clearly the creature is not entirely normal. Maybe it's because it's more of a yellow than a brownish orange. It could be more like reddish brown too. But let's see. Let me go ahead and try to salvage this design. So I'm going to, yeah, just kind of draw this thing. I'm gonna push the mouth a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Really have that tongue come down. Like the base color, but the main could be different. It's probably too overpowering black. Perhaps you somehow made the hair resemble a mountain range since it's lithic. I don't think I've formally said this one is lithic yet, but I don't see this one as lithic as the first guy. This one just might be more typic, to be honest. But also, it could, even if I were, I don't think it needs to look like a mountain just because it's in that domain. Dang, I'm gonna keep saying domain, right? It's gonna be hard. I meant to say I have the Masaki Kitsune. Yeah, maybe. I'd probably prefer that than say like a regular Kitsune, right? Just so I don't really step on Ninetales' feet. But you know, that design, Ninetales' design is so simple, but so iconic, right? You know what? Yeah, why don't I kind of... I'm going to bring this down. Okay, I'm starting to like this. Man, could you imagine the care I'm going to give when I reline everything, though? It's going to be great. Let's have it come down like this. Giving it to ear and ear. Yeah, that's how they kind of described it. So I wonder if it's too much, but it's alright. Alright. This feels much better than before. Now, I guess I'll keep the badger kind of bit the way that it said it had the face of a badger. I'll even add some tufts to the fur there. So it's going to lose its mythic and become pure typic. Maybe. Who's to say? maybe, probably. I mean, it could still be like, at the end of the day, right? The the designs are like that. They're always gonna come first. And if at some point, like, I really sit down and I have to like balance out, like, oh, I got to move these creatures to this, domain or nature, um, I could like restructure certain designs, but like I'm not gonna really treat it to like a Pokemon kind of degree, right? Where I'm like, it needs to read, like, if possible, yes, you know, it needs to read like they belong in a certain thing. Cartoon band in a good way, that's good. And if anything, you know what? I can probably like continue on like the stripes like this instead of the way I had it before. So it's kind of like a movement, as you can see. That might just be better. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, like, I want the design to be the most important thing. You know? I'm wondering, do I maybe make the paws in the front and then maybe like hooves in the back? You know? That looks awesome and chompy. Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I extended the mouth out a little more, kind of like the original. Because I feel like that's going to be very fitting for a hyena, right? What if I, yeah, maybe extend it like that? You know what? I'll have it start like... Let's connect the neck right here. Okay. Maybe I could get a better understanding of the natures. Here's the thing. I don't even know I don't have like a full understanding of the natures either, you know? It kind of started as a means to, again, replace the types. And then when I like quickly started designing the characters and monsters of this game, I noticed, I'm like, if I really do make a game where, it's truly, oh yeah, this looks so much more uncanny with the longer legs. I love it. It looks, yeah, far more uncanny. To me, like, it does a disservice to creativity, because then I'd be making Pokemon. And nothing wrong with that, but I've been a Fakemon artist for like a couple of years now, and the whole point of this was to, try something new. Beyond new, it's like, I want people to get a taste of me, right? People are always like, how do you draw a Sugimori style and whatnot? Man, could you imagine if people were like, I want to make my own Xotempo? How does Bonnie draw? Like, that to me is like such a cool process. And like, again, like a huge thing that I talked about was like leaving a legacy, and like being known for something, right? Like, I don't want to die as Bonny John, the Pokemon fan artist, right? I want to be like Bonny John, who created Xotempo. He was inspired by monster tamers and all these other worlds and concepts that inspired him, and then he inspired other people. Like, that to me is like the way I want to go out, And so in that same way, when I like realized like, oh, if I truly designed creatures by like type first and thought about that balancing, it would skew the decks and the designs of my creatures in a major way. It really would. Hello, all my fellas. Welcome in, Rosa. Rather than the mechanical aspect of the other moves, natures can just be a means to categorize in their behavior. That's what I'm thinking. And if anything, as I said the other day, was it yesterday? It'll probably be just where all the moves kind of come from. I kind of like that. Because at the end of the day, like the type system corresponding to, like, I think it's so cool that like the moves can like originate to the domains, but then like the kind of typing changes per attack. You know, it just adds a whole lot of what's the word? Variety that I think is really interesting. You know? I think the position of the neck looks a bit awkward. It doesn't flow with its back. Most of the back in fur, though. Yeah, I think it's a little awkward for sure. I'm trying to make it look like it's, you know, bringing its head down and might be too severe and extreme. I like the crooked spine. I like it too, Rosa. I'm just trying to make sure, because it is correct that it does look a little awkward. So that's nothing I couldn't fix like this. The neck does feel awkward. Maybe it's like that. What do we think? Does this look a little better? Because again, I really want to like... I love the way I got the previous design. Like the way how crooked and hunched over it looked. You know what? Let's do that. Let's start adding color and see how it goes. I'm trying to think of the name. It makes it creepier? Good. That's better to me? Good. Yeah, I really love the idea of bringing the... Again, I could be messing up the creature, but like I think it's called the maned wolf. Let me see if I can make it the cloven hooves, you know? Very sure you're looked up to in the art communities? You mean that? People can see that through your Pokemon vids and collabs. I think it's a matter of getting your... Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm a smaller YouTuber, you know? I don't really care about the numbers per se. It sucks because I know I should and I could be, you know, far more recognized if I had like better social media presence and if I cared to properly advertise and do this and that. So there will be a time and place for me to worry and care about that. Don't get me wrong. You know? But, you know, for now I just want to... Again, how many times have I seen YouTubers and Poketubers say they're going to do something and then kind of like cave out? Like, I said I was going to do Dex Neo and then I canceled it, you know, because I knew I had like something, a higher calling in a way, right? So I'm like, I have to get this project done one way or another, right? So me streaming the way I do, hopefully consistently and, you know, just truly committing to this, like, that's kind of like my own built-in promise to myself as much as it is to you guys, you know? Lucio trick. I don't dislike it, but I think we can do a little better. It's Crocota. And then there is a place in India called Calcutta. Now, of course, that's just a location, but that's kind of interesting. Sometimes spelled with a C as well. Crocota. It could be crook. Maybe it's like Crocota, right? That's a little more simpler. No rush, go at your own pace. Yeah, no, I definitely want to go at my own pace, but at the same time, like, you know, I feel like I've squandered a lot of time. Not just because of Dex Neo, but just that's how life is, right? So never rush, but I am working with a sense of agency and more specifically urgency, because I do want to get this out. I do want to pitch this, see where it goes. The occasional chaos makes it funny. These streams are Zen mode? Hell yeah. On the bright side, it leads to these peaceful streams. True. Manicrota. Yeah, I see that. Prefer these small streams with the big Twitch ones. You have people going, John Fortin. Yeah, for vicious. Oh, admittedly generic. For vicious. I see what you're doing. Fervor. To me, Festerical was such a great name. So if I could get in the lines of Festerical, which is hysterical, that was like more the laughing part of the hyena, right? The color palette is truly the thing that's kind of kicking my butt at the moment. Maybe it is a more reddish kind of tone, and maybe the mane could be more brown like this. And I truly wouldn't mind the head being like, because you know what, maybe the head is more like drenched in what looks like red. I really love that about my first design, Festerical. And it's kind of split from the other head. But yeah, like I'll get you know, random people who come in who really don't know me, and like I'm in a very sweet spot as a streamer where, you know, I have like a beautifully kind and cute community. They care about me, you know, I care about them. It scares me to get bigger. Like, one of the sweetest comments I ever got was this one, you know, viewer. She told me, Bonnie, like, I'm really glad, you know, you're a small streamer, because, you know, when you one day get too big, I think I've said this story and I'll say it forever because it's just so sweet. She's like, then you won't really be able to talk to us. And I was like, that is so kind and so sad. And I'm like, no, I would like, you know, if I were ever to be so lucky and really kind of blow up. And I don't think I would enjoy streaming if I did, to be honest with you. I would probably dislike streaming to a gigantic audience. Truthfully. You know, I do this because I like the interaction. I get to, like, you know, communicate with humans, right? Like, I've been in True Green's bigger streams, and it's cool because there's so many people who get to, like, the cool thing is about those kind of streams is, like, people get to kind of, like, chat more with each other and, like, develop their own camaraderie and stuff. And I know you guys have that too, but it was like so many messages a minute, and like I was just getting overwhelmed for myself. So I'll have moments where, you know, people come into the stream and they'll be like, Bonnie, I think this creature needs this, and then another person's like, I think this creature needs that, I think this creature needs this, I think this creature needs that. And I won't, you know, tell you guys, but it is overwhelming. And, you know, I'll like try to embrace, you know, like, I'm always grateful for the interaction, but I'll be like, oh no, actually I think it should be like this. And, you know, then sometimes I will get a little annoyed when, like, usually new people, they might come in and they might demand, like, oh, it should be like this, it should be like that. And I'm like, there's a way to nicely suggest things, you know? You know, if you're paying for a commission, it's one thing, but like, don't hop on my stream and then tell me it needs to be like this or that, you know? But anyway, Chakota, Chuckle and Crocota. Are you going for a naturalistic palette? Rosa, I don't know. What do you think? I do feel like it needs a much more colorful, interesting palette, because it makes it feel more like a monster, like an interesting creature. But it shouldn't be too crazy. Hystina sounds like a medical term. It really does. Luke Crickle. Not sure about this one. It's hard to see in big streams. Maniacata, Manita, Cotomania. Sounds like a cottagecore fanzine. I like your art. Can you work for me for free? Yeah, right? They're all like that. Like, I've seen those kind of streams, chat. And I get overwhelmed at a distance. I'm sitting there, like, my head's spinning. And I'm like, how do you, like, I like to engage with you guys, right? There'll be some moments where I go like Zen mode and kind of like blank out because I'm like working on the art, right? Like I'm really thinking, but I do try to interact with you guys when I can, and you know I like the feedback. I like this, that, the other. I know we're a respectful community, but you know after a while, what happens in like a bigger stream is that people like you know they want attention, so they might say this or that or the other. It can get ugly sometimes, you know. I think I really do want to crane the neck even more in the final. I don't like the mane. What's this guy do? You know what? That's such a funny and great question because I don't really ever think about the creatures in the overworld, and you know, because they're mostly all spirits, right? So it is important to think about how these creatures behave to truly get a name down. So you're absolutely right. What does he do? I mean, he's your just typical trickster. He's probably very selfish, greedy, mischievous, clearly. He's definitely a character who he serves himself. You know? First and foremost, he serves himself. I don't dislike this red, chat. I think the croqueta doesn't need to be in the name. It has a clunky sound. It's a clunky sound, but because it is an India-based region, and I am basing it like on an Indian kind of mythology, I would love to pay homage to that, because then it gives people a chance to like look up. I mean, granted, if they did look up more about the creature, why is it like that, they would kind of find out about it. So it might be redundant, but you know, I agree. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the name, but you know, you never know where you'll find a name. So yeah, like it doesn't necessarily have to be. Like, I will always go for the best name, but like wherever I can get the most, what's the word, like movement, as far as getting as much of like the creature's concept, be it its origins, designs, as Rosa pointed out, potentially its personality, what it does, that would probably be more important, right? Red's good. Darker mane. It might be a darker mane. Maybe these prank you over the overworld, making you think you just lost an item. Yeah, I think it could be a cool thing where, like, maybe you hear it laughing or screaming. If the first form, right, is a trickster, and maybe it takes your items, or when you capture it, it gives you items. Maybe the evolved form, you know, works with their young, and maybe they ambush you in the overworld. So it could be like ambush. We have hyena, trickster, laugh, maybe scream. Ambush could be interesting. Abrasive. Any element or vibe you can incorporate. I think the vibe is more the thing. Less so elements, as I was saying earlier. It's more like the vibe. Lighter mane could work as well. I think so too, Kool-Aidian. From the planet Kool-Aid. Let's get the teeth done. We're going to go to the dentist real quick, children. Quick stop. Everyone who has cavities, sorry. You go into the dentist, and you're not getting a lollipop after, because that would make things clearly worse. God, this guy has a lot of teeth. I love doing these parts where I get to like zoom in and kind of like hard focus. So what do you think, chat? Would you put him on your team? God, he looks so much cooler with the freaking teeth filled in. Jesus. What's up, Carrot? Welcome in. His teeth are so round. I was thinking in my head, like the older ones, is like 6 of them, like one of them will come up to you directly and then traps you with the other 6 to deal. After the first one, you get tricked. What do you mean the older ones? Oh, like the older in the pack? Well, see, it's a tricky thing, right? Because Xotempo are not like Pokemon. They don't outwardly live in like communities per se. Again, that might change because it depends on the context. So if I am making those Xotempo realms that like pop up on the map, maybe you would see them living more traditional kind of lives. But as it were, like you're probably going to run into them like in a very old school JRPG kind of way where you would see the creatures, they're like represented by will-o-wisp lights for now, for generation 1. Hopefully one day, if I ever get a proper budget, not that I have a budget now, but you know, I can afford all these cool animators and 3D modelers and designers. They could like properly live in the overworld and whatnot. Yeah, honestly, Festerical is such a fun design. I'd rather, you know, kind of like keep what I built and like built off of that. This little freak is gonna be my best friend. Don't blame for his teeth. He's high enough. He's high enough. This hyena looks tricky and epic. I'd catch it. I think I'd offer this guy a treat. He'd bite me still. I think he would. I think he would like. It would probably be his love language too. Like, you could catch him. He'd be your best friend. I think you would still get a kick out of biting you. You know? Maybe it's less painful once you become his friend. And honestly, he doesn't know better. Alright. Yeah, this is sick. Thank you, Festerical. You ran so Tarnished can run. Whatever his name ends up being. I really do want to like bring his head really low. I do love the long extended legs. I kind of want to keep pushing that. Does make it a little more unnerving, it feels like. I don't like the way the bands are, though. How do I do the stripes, chat? I'm going to do it kind of like... something like this. Kind of like the actual hyenas. Amblush, for when you turn this into an inevitable dating sim. Well said, Alex. Consequence of bonding with this one, tougher skin. Crocodillo. Definitely adding this to Ash's team when you're done. Hysterical is a hard name to top. It is fire. But let's see. Have you decided on hooves for all four limbs? Having a set of claws either on front or would I did try the claws in the front, um, and I liked it, but it felt like it was lacking intent. So I kind of like the hooves the way they are. I'd probably add like, the little extra bit that kind of like spike outward just for like a little bit more. Um, and either way, hyena and even the creature that I'm referencing, they're the kind of animals that use their teeth to hunt, right? Like you have all these teeth, might as well use it. Um, but never say never. I could easily see myself adding like you know proper paws in the front and maybe hooves in the back. Although I feel like that'd be a little painful, or you know, not painful, but tough to walk with. What if the fur mimics the shape of a jester's hat? I think that's too much like maybe Pokemon like direction. Right, is the bonding thing still prevalent? Absolutely, absolutely. Ever since Mega Evolution, like I think that's the moment where I was like, yeah, bonding's gonna be very important in my game. Like one way or another, it's important in Pokemon as well, like obviously. But I really want to like lean into it for a lot of the move mechanics, evolution mechanics, stuff like that. Truly the best name is this guy Raymond. In the Smash Brothers announcer voice. Making the stripes look like scars would be cool. Yeah, like that's probably the vibe I'd want to give for sure. Deception, disgrace, evil as the scar on his face. But yeah, it could. Here's the thing. Truthfully, the patterning could be any number of like any kind of styling for pattern. Again, they described it as a honey badger's face, so I want to see honey badgers. Yeah, maybe I'll do something like that. For now, this is pretty cool. When is the funny if we get a newer game that has no gimmicks? Honestly, it could be possible for Gen 10, where they're like, yeah, back to basics. We want to focus on making the designs more interesting, or like balancing out types even further. Like a back to basics kind of thing, because Game Freak has understandably lost a lot of goodwill, right, with the community. So it could be their chance to just be like, yeah, like no gimmicks. Let's just make the best game that we can. I could absolutely see that happening. But probably not. Because after some time, like, you have to one-up yourself, like, from a creative point of view. It'll look really bad from a creative point of view, where if they gave up, they're like, oh, we can't top, we don't have any more ideas. It's like, you're the highest grossing multi-billion-dollar like conglomerate family company of media. Like, you gotta keep going. Might be a bit strange. So what if you made this guy's skin white and his fur yellow? Could mimic a birch tree. True. In Pokemon's low-key, I'm interested in leaning to it. No offense, Joe, meant why a birch tree. Game Freak should use all that 3D game money to make an extra big 2D game. Some gimmicks are hit or miss. But you know what? At the end of the day, that's up to the consensus of the players, right? I love Mega. I know some people who don't like Mega. I like G-Max. I know some people who don't like G-Max. I like, you know what I mean? Like, you could kind of go down the list. And look, also another thing is, people who whine and cry, they're the loudest because they want to be heard. It happens every time. A generation might be disliked, which will be news to me. I like all of it as it comes out. Like, I can obviously be partial and say, like, oh, maybe designs or story or this or that was weak. But inevitably, every generation, it'll have, like, this kind of resurgence where they're like, can we talk about how Gen 5 wasn't as bad as people said? And it's like, oh my god, here we go. Can we talk about how, like, it happens every time, you know? I'm wondering if I do some sort of thing like this. Super Saiyan Dunk? It's interesting, but it's definitely the neck area is kicking my ass. You know? It's trying to get the neck area and the mane to follow it. That's the thing that's truly... Oh, wait a second. I kind of like that better. Hold on. Kind of like that. And you know what? So maybe... Birch tree patterns are fun. They're very nice. They cry about how the game's terrible until the generation's over, and then they turn their opinions over. G-Max is some of my favorite. I agree. G-Max is so good. Could there be some rib-like patterns, either with the hair coming down stripe? I think it could be. I think looking more mohawky could work, which is why I was trying to move in that direction. What if you gave him glam rock hair? Basically, Obstagoon, though. Mega Absol, my dearest, lamest Pokemon. It dies so often. Let's see. I don't want to overcook this design. It does feel very naked the moment I kind of removed, you know? And that kind of throws me for a loop. It truly does feel more naked now. It kind of does need the mane to work, I think. You know? Alright, let's see. There's no description on the Crocota's coloration, but a lot of the patterning I see is like very yellowy, like cheetah-like. So let me try like that kind of pattern. I don't dislike this pattern, because it still feels like kind of like a mohawk thing kind of going down. And more of a mohawk than whatever glam rockers have. Gotcha. Feel less naked if you have a funny little hat. True. Main wolf looking. That was the point. People are gonna say that that's what's happening with Sword Shield, because everyone remembers the people hating on it. You could not go 5 seconds without hearing someone say Sword and Shield is bad. I'll say this: of all the games, I truly felt Sword and Shield was like the biggest miss for me personally. Like, I obviously enjoyed it. I loved playing it, right? Like, when I play it, I enjoy it because it's like the formula is simple for me. We don't get a Pokemon game often. I'm down when I get a new game. Like, I'm just there to see who the new designs are. You know, like, yeah, I'm interested in the story, but I'm not expecting the most. Like, I will say, I do think it was unacceptable to, like, have released it with the graphics that it did. Like, I wasn't in the camp, like, boycott it because of the graphics. But it's like, we got to do better for as big of a company that you are and how much money you have. And graphics, you know, people will always say, and, you know, they're not wrong. You know, gameplay is more important than graphics. Yes, true. However, gameplay is a legitimate and important way to immerse the player. So if I'm looking at like really horribly modeled trees or whatever kind of thing, it will ruin the immersion. It'll pull me out. where I'm like, oh wait, I'm playing a game and like it was so bad, like I noticed it, you know. Um, so what truly wasn't acceptable was the state of coding and whatnot, and glitches for Paldea for Scarlet Violet. That is unacceptable because this, we're paying for a product and like it becomes unplayable with the frame rate stuttering and um, a lot of that kind of stuff, right? Where I heard some people's save files were messed up or this or that, and again, further immersion breaking. I came across several weird glitches and bugs that like I'm like thinking like, you know, that's not acceptable for a company like Nintendo and Game Freak, right? Like that's crazy. Um, okay, I think I'm gonna start wrapping this design up, or at the very least, of course, this pass. Um, I think that I'll just keep going and like not really getting anywhere in particular if I kept at it. Um, but fell through the floor. Luckily, I didn't experience the glitches. I saved a lot of photos and videos. Like I had one where I caught a gold duck, and he's a pocket monster, sure, but they literally shrink the model, so the Pokeball is there, right? And Golduck, you see him like this, and he shrinks down, and he's like, you see him peeking out of the Pokeball, and he's standing there like this, in his idle animation like this. And I'm like, come on, like how does that happen? It having such a visibly thick neck and such a little body is throwing me off. Jordan shoot felt the most linear. It definitely was. I did like the art style. The art direction felt really lived in. Um, it had a cute cel shaded look, and then like Paldea, that mixture of like this cartoony with realism, major miss. They spent a lot of time, I'm sure, modeling and adding extra realistic textures, and it worked for metallic Pokemon like Steel types, but like for realistic Pokemon that had fur, it did not look good. The lighting system looked very dull and bland. It was a big miss for me. I still enjoyed it, Picnic basket disappeared. So what's the tempo line after this? I'm not sure. Um, I'll check in just a sec. Opening cave is so glitched. Is that true? But yeah, I really like how this guy came out, actually. Like, again, for a first pass. I'm going to just try out just a few color stuff, because I don't hate the red and this beige. It is very weird coloring. The Mohawk look, copy. I want to just... Honestly, I don't hate that. But again, I'm just going to try out different colors. I feel like this is kind of the color that I want to go with, truthfully. Something like this, because it was described like tigerish, cheetah-like. But let me see. Because if I did this, right, it would be very Mighty HYENA vibes. And that sucks. Because I like Mighty HYENA, but like I don't want my hyena to look like a Pokemon design. It could be gray hair with the yellow body. Although it would feel like kind of Arcanine true. Puke green, no thank you. Hyeniacal. It's close, but enough. Arceus. Is that Arceus that I'm reading? You guys saw me play Arceus. To me, it's one of the best. Arceus is incredible. I felt like truly a part of the world, more than other games. The mechanics all made sense to me. I could go with like a sickly kind of color. let me do... You know what? Why don't I just use... Let me pluck these colors straight from here, from the hyenas. Oh, I see what you mean about the Arcanine thing. I'm only just seeing it. Yeah. Let's do something like that. Oh, wait. I don't dislike this. And I could really go with the badger kind of thing for the front of the face. Wait, that looks kind of cool. Hold on. Hold on, that looks ill. I'm gonna give him the red. And I'm gonna give him this kind of tongue. Oh, you know what I could do? So I could take the red here. And then, watch this. I take the white and I kind of use it kind of like a tiger and like have it on the underbody maybe. You know? The only issue is the tiger part. Oh, you know what? So instead, maybe instead of the stripes, maybe it's like a spotted hyena instead. No, but then... Oh, wait. Unless I made the spots black because the front bit is, like, banded. No! Joker face paint? No, absolutely not. Now he's got a sharp chin. Bernard got these scars. Even though Arceus didn't have the best graphics, I thought it had great graphics. It's, you know, like... It was very stylized, so to me, like, it will age better than most other games, you know? Realistic games do not age well. That's already, like, when Paldea came out, like, it was already looking so dated, right? Like, there was no real, like, strong direction to me in Paldea, art-wise. Like, again, lighting was really weak. Clashing art style between like this realistic texture and these like cartoony Pokemon designs. Unicycle accident. Oh, now we have a Dalmatian. Oh, interesting. What if I went this route? Where it's like black. No, my Oclut is going to have that color palette. Stylization wins every time. I thought Arceus was reaching for realistic. Really? Let's Go was great. I think Let's Go gets a lot of hate for no reason for the style. If you don't like Delmaniac, there you go. That's a perfect name. You know, I get like if some people don't want to, you know, if they're more or less like wanting to play a game where it evolves with them, so if they think like an art style looks too kiddie, it's not for them. But like, you can still appreciate an art style even if it's not necessarily meant for you. You know, like that game Let's Go had like a very defined art style. You know? Does this Xotempo have different pattern variants? It could, but I probably won't go for something like that. Because that would open like a can of worms for like all the Xotempo, right? Where it's like, well, if a hyena would, could have a different pattern, what about this species or that species? And I'd be like, yeah, you're right. But I don't want to open that can of worms, Maybe inversing the colors so it's darker body with yellow orange stripes. How would this look with camo green? Camo green is definitely not the vibe, I'm sure. I think it would look too... I want it to look like it's still part of the savannah, Hold on, maybe you keep it simple. So it's like this, this, this. Alright, I kind of like this for now, chat. What do you guys think? I kind of like this for now. I could give it maybe this more reddish pattern just to like... I plucked it from the first one. Because it feels a little more fun. It's like almost like trying to be like a lion, At the end of the day, look, all of these colors and everything is like truly, truly, truly up for, changes. I'm going to be looking at the whole of the designs and I'll be like, oh, there's too many creatures that are yellow, too many creatures that are green, too many. I'll make adjustments. I want to see how this character might look next to the dog Xotempo and the cat Xotempo. So there's really going to be a lot of moments to kind of reflect and just make sure I'm on the right path, Should water be super effective on flying? Because if you make a bird wet, it can't fly. I could agree with that logic, because it's not just birds, right? Like, water would... well, then you have a bird like Skarmory, right? That's made of steel. Well, no, apparently it's still very light, so... I mean, yeah, it's kind of sound. Hyena and Heimlich. Why Heimlich? Almost a lion, almost a gazelle, truly a master trickster. Oh, I like that. That's like a fun way it can be a trickster, right? Majority of birds have waterproof feathers. There you go. What's that sound? I think somebody was working with some sort of tool outside. Probably because the flower to heat is so bad. Now is like the only time to get anything done. I did hear that. I didn't know if you guys could hear it. What about hair horns? Hair horns are always a possibility, but I like the idea of just keeping it simple for now. I think in my final take, I do want to minimize the rounded out mane and like truly go for more of a mohawk. I was gonna say homawk. I gotta like really figure out the body plan. So if it's like... Yeah, something like that looks good. I like that. I like the way you worded that. It's a trickster, so therefore he kind of looks like a gazelle, yet also, you know. You know what? So in that case, I would make this part brown. Well, you know what? I'll do. That looks cool. Gazelle-like horns are still living. Looks like you threw a gazelle and a hyena together. The hallmark, Mufasamon. All right, cool. Yeah, I really, and it's got like the maned wolf kind of thing going on. All right. I'm not gonna lie, I also kind of like this color palette too. It's kind of grown on me. You know, wolf in sheep's clothing, but yeah, exactly right, Kool-Aidian. Yeah. We'll say that's what I went for. Oh my god, and this guy has a pitcher, like a Kool-Aid pitcher. This has the vibes, hell yeah. Alright, let's give these guys a size chart checkup. Again, basket hyena, right, the basket bearer. And then it evolves into the crocota. So the first is from Zulu mythology, and then the second is from Indian mythology. What if the lighter colors were the female? Nah, I'm not going to do that because I don't have gender, as I've said before. Once again, you're opening up a can of worms I don't want to get into, right? Like patterning for certain creatures or gender differences. Never say never, but everything about my project, you know, in comparison to say something like Pokemon, is me streamlining things, right? So I'm not against it, but let's go ahead and yeah, size chart. Oh yeah, so I showed you guys earlier. Here was yesterday's gold digging ant and the scarab. Still not in love with this horn. I see what I'm trying to do, but it's not quite landing for me. So I'll try and fix that at some point. Okay. It could be Bascavenge. I love that. I love that so much. Can of worms. Honestly, sounds cute. It could be idioms down the line, right? Can of worms. I think other idioms like when pigs fly. What else? There's a lot. Alright, so I think this is what I want to do for the sizes here. Hyena pup needs to be big enough to at least bite off a head. Done. Wooden bowl of worms. Blech. Okay, I'm going to put it into the compendium and then I'll see, kind of gauge who's up next. Perfect sizes. They think so too. Curiosity killed the cat. True. Yo! It's done. The 2 stages, not the split 2 stages. There's still a bunch of them right here. But pretty dope. Look at this. I can't believe it. Milestone achieved, chat. Milestone achieved. That's 44 Xotempo right there alone. It's a lot. You work pretty quick? I do. That's just years of experience kind of showing itself right there. I'm pretty sure I can get the lines for all of these done relatively quick too. It would still take a long time for me to finalize and compare and do this and that, but don't poke a sleeping bear. Be happy to see Snaggletooth from Motorhead. I have no idea what any of that means. Never finger. Not gonna finish that, Alex. I feel like I like this one more than the Unicorn Carcadon, a new favorite. Nice. That one is very outdated. The Unicorn Carcadon, like, that is one I'm gonna for sure redesign. It's supposed to be like a rhino was thought to be a unicorn, so I think I'll probably do a similar kind of thing where like maybe lean more into even more into the horse side, horse unicorn rhino cool kind of thing. It should be dope. It'll be cool. Been doing my monster taming project since 2021, still out of my 102. And listen, these things take time, right? Like, don't, compare yourself to others, compare yourself to yourself. Yeah, maybe it's taking longer than you expected, but like, again, the internet doesn't really understand, like, when people are asking me, like, when I was, like, kind of just gauging how many designs do you want to see? They're like, the more the better. And they don't understand it's like, I'm one person. With Pokemon, they've got, like, I don't know the hundreds of designers, but, like, tens of designers. So, I can work at my pace, which is healthy, Gotta still watch out for my hand. I think I might take a short break after I finish the next 2 lines, or 3 lines. But, gotta go. It's all good. I'm gonna close up shop here anyway. I'll hold on my progression monster taming because I do like having a starting concept. So who's next? I would say probably the cat line. I'd probably do the cat tomorrow. There's a bunch of cool stuff I can do. Cactus. Take care, Rosa. Cactus cat, sliver cat, black cat, the Kate Sheath, or potentially the Wumpus cat. I don't know how I do Schrodinger's, but see the general travel vibe? Good. That's definitely intentional, and that's the kind of stuff that separates me from other tamers, right? Like when people are like, I'm gonna do my own tamer, and it's like a Pokemon clone. I'm not saying this doesn't have elements of Pokemon, but it's just good to see that at least visually it feels like it can be its own thing, which is a very major goal for me. Anyway, I'm going to close up shop today, chat. It's now nearly 3 hours in, about 9:30 my time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Make sure you leave a like on your way out if you haven't already. It's definitely a situation where I'm going to knock out the next few lines and then take a break so I can kind of recalculate and just see how everything's going to be. Because I really won't have much art to finish after. I've got like very few 3 stages left. I'll get a better understanding of once I look at all the 2 stages and whatnot. But yeah, all right, guys. I'm going to call it. Take care and see you tomorrow. Be well. Have a good night. Have a good day tomorrow. And until next time, don't be late. Peace.